year is 2021 and New Masters Academy is still the absolute #1 art school on the planet. That's right, on the planet. Click the link down below for a free 7-day trial. Thank you, New Masters Academy. I am in your mind. I am in your... Hey everybody, welcome back to the Honey and Absinthe After Hours Podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Vincent, a background designer for the Hollywood animation industry.
And I'm Janet, the ex-Disney artist turned independent creator, and this is a podcast about all things art, business, and whatever we feel like.
Now today, you're going to have a fantastic week. Just simply the best week of the year. How good do they look? Look at them. Look at how hard they tried for us.
You're going to have
pajamas.
A really great week this week.
T-shirt. Very cool. Classic.
Before we get started, make sure to smash that like button
over there,
please and thank you.
Today we're going to talk about why it's important to learn how to negotiate. Janet Chan, why is it important to learn how to negotiate?
Because negotiation is basically just communication, and you use it on a day-to-day basis. It's like every time you talk to your spouse, every time you talk to
your friend,
every time you talk to
the person you're getting groceries from.
Yeah, you're enacting many little negotiations every day. And sometimes you get what you want, and sometimes you don't. And to be honest, I used to be very bad at communication. Not necessarily negotiating, but in general, I'm pretty bad with people. And I used to be worse when I was younger, and especially before I dated you.
I can attest to that.
I come across really abrasive, and I try my best these days.
It's very hard to read your face is the problem.
Yeah, I have resting bitch face.
The most resting bitch's face of all the resting bitch's face I've ever seen.
And people who watch me online probably wouldn't know that, because in a way I am performing when I am filming myself. Even if I tried not to, there's an aspect of performance where like, my hair looks off, I need to adjust it, that kind of thing. And it's just uncomfortable for me to be on camera, and my default to being uncomfortable is smiling a lot to like get rid of the discomfort I feel on the inside.
I'm totally not uncomfortable right now.
Yeah, like nervous laughter, that kind of thing. But normally, if you meet me in real life, I tend to have what I think is a blank face. Other people think I'm mad at them.
I call it the ditto.
Yeah.
You know, like ditto, 2 dots and 1 long line. That's Janet's expression 90% of the time.
People tend to project all sorts of things onto me when I'm literally just not emoting.
How could they not? You have such a blank, like you're kind of like an Easter egg, you know? And then people like kind of project whatever onto the Easter egg.
Yeah, so most of the time people think I'm judging them, or I hate them, or I'm angry at them, or I'm having a bad day, but I'm just...
You're thinking.
Yeah, I'm probably like zoning out, thinking about nothing. So that, and I tend to be a little impatient. I like...
More patient than me, though.
In some ways. I mean, impatient, like, I don't like small talk.
I see.
Yeah. Like, I'm patient in that, like, if you mess up, if you screw me over, most of the time I'll give you, like, a second chance, or I'm like, they didn't mean that. But I'm impatient in that if you ask me how the weather is doing, I get really annoyed. I'm like, what? Why are you wasting my time with this random small talk? Which is why that, on top of not smiling very often and the everyday interactions with people think I hate them, or they think I'm cold. Whereas you naturally, when I first started dating, even before then, when we were just friends, I just noticed that you had a way with people. People just immediately liked you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You were always smiley, like the opposite of me. You loved you always knew the right thing to say to a perfect stranger. Like if we were hanging out and just getting food, you would chat up the cashier.
It's important.
Usually, and you'd get them to smile. or laugh or something, and then when I have to, they hate me. They just
look at you and just don't want to
they
have
just
anything
don't want to
do
deal
with
me.
I don't know. I learned at a very young age. I don't know how or why I learned this lesson, but it just seems as though, you know, the easier of a time you help someone feel comfortable or feel like they're seen, as the youth say, the easier time you'll have in life. And I'm much more barely, but I'm a little bit more honest about it now. But before, I used to just do whatever I could to make sure you're pleased.
Yeah.
You know, the person opposite from me is pleased. Now, like, I don't know. I don't think I'm that great with people. For example, I don't like crowds. I don't like crowds at all. I have no interest in wanting the admiration of people in groups. I do, however, really like the intimate one-on-one type of thing. Mm-hmm. I like those types of conversations and those types of interactions. And I take pleasure in engaging in those, and I really, really enjoy the back and forth, you know?
Yeah.
But, and you know, and like, you know, when I was a young man, I like to flirt a lot. Whatever. No big deal.
That's how
but
you
it's
got
fun.
good at it.
It was sort of like an exercise in just how appealing I could be and what I could say to get the maximum appeal. And you need to watch out. You people watching, there's a million people like me. And I've mellowed out now.
Yeah.
But like, you watch out for people like me, man. You watch out for those people.
I mean, you've mellowed out because, like,
what do I have to do it for?
Yeah. Like, I think for most men who do it, I mean, women too. I mean, 9 times out of 10, you get good at it because you're flirting.
I mean, how many of your friends, like, you know, went on a Tinder date or, you know, at a bar, and then, got free drinks.
Yeah.
Yes. You know what I mean. You Wimixons.
So many women.
So many
do
Wimixons. All you Wimixons.
We had a friend who was like, yeah, I go on Tinder dates just for a free lunch. I had a friend who would go on Tinder dates just for, free lunch. Not because she wanted to go out with the dudes. It was just like, I need to eat.
Yeah. You dudes. When going like, oh, she wants to hang out with me. You're just free lunch.
I had another friend that was like, would intentionally get free drinks at the bar. Like it's a thing women do.
So what was our point for that, though,
I'm bad at people.
Oh, yes.
And even before then, like, as I got older, like around college age, I got more accepting of myself. So me coming across like cold and harsh, it was more like that then. When I was even younger, I'm actually very introverted. So like when I was little, I was very, very shy, and I got over it through like performance and like color guard and putting myself out there enough times for me to finally be able to do this YouTube thing, and not care. But before then, when I was young girl, my default is just, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to even look at you in the eye. I'm really shy, and like I don't.
What was that? What did that anxiety come from? Just because you were like, oh, don't look at me.
Being bullied.
Oh.
Yeah, because I wasn't like that before. When I was really young, like before, I want to say like early elementary school, I was a really energetic, exuberant child. Mm-hmm. I still had a very soft voice, but I was like hyperactive and stuff like that. But also I was weird. I was a tomboy, and I do not get along well. I'm not like, normal.
You're a Janet.
Yeah. I'm not like, I don't love the color pink, and I don't do all the things normal girls, so like the popular girls would like bully me. That continued till about like middle school, preteen age, when you really like that kind of stuff really starts affecting you. So like this exuberant person, I remember like getting these snide comments in high school too, as especially like color guard is kind of like a sorority, and so I never wanted to join a sorority once I graduated high school, because I was like, being in a group of like 100 girls, no, I do not like that. So I just became like someone who was really, normal child level confidence to like, everyone hates me, I'm weird, and it's fine. I don't want to talk to anyone, they're gonna judge me, whatever. And then, you get over it in college, and then from there it's like, okay, now I understand where I lack though. Like, it's not good that people don't like me. It's like from a first impressions kind of thing.
Why are you playing life on like really, really hard mode?
Exactly. Yeah.
When you can like sort of at least like work on it to make life a little bit easier.
Yeah. So like I always had to like get by through sheer willpower and work ethic, and I always had to start off any foot wrong. So like a lot of teachers hate me and then they love me. They don't automatically love me. They just think I'm difficult. And like stuff like that. And that means it's harder for me to get hired. It's harder for me to get noticed. It's harder for me to do a lot of these things compared to someone who is really like extroverted, who is able to like charm the other person. So imagine if it were like you and me in an interview and they had to choose between you and me, they totally would just choose you just because
but in all honesty, you're the better choice
in terms of like work ethic
and, of course.
So I understood that like in a field as competitive as ours in Hollywood, I knew that like that's not a good thing. It is not a good thing for like, it doesn't matter how hard I work, it doesn't matter how smart I am, it doesn't matter how talented I am, it doesn't matter how good I even get. Time and time again you'll see people who you might not think deserve something get something, but at the end of the day I have to have the humility to acknowledge like, well, they have a skill I don't have. If they had to like work with other people, everyone's gonna love them.
You had a oh man, maybe you shouldn't name names, but you had an experience like that, where you just admittedly have to go, or someone admitted to you she has skill, like someone compared you to another artist and said, oh, I don't want to tell the story, you can tell the story.
I was in this like work situation where like I was getting really frustrated with one of my coworkers because she's a very nice person, but she would not come to work till like past noon, and she was supposed to be there at like 10 a.m. and then when she got to work she didn't do anything but talk about nonsense to like the secretary and people, and she drove me a little crazy because we had to work together occasionally. Because for me, I'm like over here bearing through the traffic, and like I'm here right on time every day, and I'm working the proper amount of time every single day, and I'm working my butt off doing challenging things I've never done before, and I'm looking at this girl and I'm like, oh my god. And everyone knew, like it wasn't a secret. Everyone was like, but they loved her. That's the thing, like she was so charming. And I remember complaining to my boss at the time. I was like, why did you hire her?
That's so crazy you had this type of relationship with your boss, that you could just blatantly ask them like, what the fuck, dude?
When I think about it, I don't know if we did. I think that says a lot about me and my feelings as a person.
You're so strange.
I know.
That's so bizarre.
I'm just that honest.
But it's pretty cool that your boss was straight up like, well, this is why.
Yeah. So like I was like, why did you hire her? Maybe I think the reason why I asked was because I think he was complaining.
Oh, and then you were like, then why you hire her?
Yeah,
then? Okay,
yeah.
I see.
And he kind of looked at me and like considered for a second what I was asking, and then he was like, she has skills that you don't have. And I was like, you're not wrong. As much as I hate it, like, I had to work my butt off to be in this position. She talked her way into it, and that's just as valid.
Man, that's like such a Naruto situation. Like Naruto asking, what's his face with the eye patch?
Kakashi?
Kakashi, like, why that fucking guy, man? Why the fuck is he in our team? I hate that guy, man.
The guy with the whiskers and the blonde hair. He's so annoying. He
doesn't even pay attention most of the time.
Becomes Hokage.
Yeah, and then like Kakashi's like, well, I mean, like,
he has skills you don't have.
And Sasuke has to like just pout.
And like, it's true. Like, that's life. And that's like, I was fairly young at the time, and I was just like, you're not wrong. Like, I have the humility that, like, if someone tells me that I won't, I'd be like, you're right.
Right.
Sucks to be me. Like, I'd rather be her. I'd rather be less hardworking, less talented, whatever it is.
You're just working too hard.
Yeah, I'm just working too hard in life. I don't want to work that hard in life. And so I always acknowledge that, like, I need to improve these skills. And the thing is, it's very difficult for me. You can attest to that, being in a relationship with me.
It's hard. It's been the source of all of our arguments.
Most of the time.
Her inability to human, don't you think? Wouldn't you think that's like a huge kind of, I don't know, just thorn in my side? You know?
Like, why can't you understand?
Why can't you human?
Human.
Yeah. I need you to human right now.
I need you to emote.
I am a human with failings. But like, there's just times, like, oh my god, it's gonna be like some sort of counseling. Like, there are times where I just feel like they're like I just feel like, and there's this sentiment, like, everyone has told Janet this once in their life. I just feel like you're just so ahead of me, and there's no amount of me reaching the top of this mountain where like I catch up to you. You're just constantly up there, just going, and you never stop. And I feel like I'm always in your shadow.
Oh my god, there's so many people have told me that.
Yeah.
And I go like, what are you talking about?
But you see, that's the thing. That's what she means by like, we project this bullshit onto you. It's just, I think, truly all in our heads.
Yeah,
really.
Because I'm not.
You know?
There's so many times when people think I'm judging them.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, stop judging me, or like you think this. I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't think you're stupid. I don't think this. I don't think that. I'm like, I don't know. I've never said that in my life. I don't know why you think that.
Right.
And then I really wonder, like, what? I never said anything. I literally never said anything. And I think it's people just projecting their own insecurities onto my face.
Yeah, and it really is. It's just those times where like I'm like tired and like we're working on, let's say, a convention or something, and then you're just like just going.
Oh, I'm like focused.
Yeah.
And I just need to get the job done.
Yeah. And like it can get pretty intense sometimes.
So I was never like, you were able to help me a lot with like explaining to me human behavior.
Yes.
And you know, through you telling me like, you just insulted that person, or can you not read a situation? And I go like, what?
Are you not aware of the people around you? You can't say that out loud. You can't say that in public. How many times have you gotten canceled?
So many times. And so through that, it's a lot of like, it's not very systematic though. That's the thing. When you help me with these things, because you haven't really figured it out completely either yourself.
Yeah, I'm not like a master of it. I just kind of, I just think that there are people who are really good at teaching and who are just really just good at the thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just good at the thing, not really good at explaining or articulating how or why it works. Especially
this thing that feels so vague.
Instinctual. Yeah.
Until I read this book, The Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. I'm currently listening to it on Audible. If you want to listen to it, you should actually go to audibletrial.com/the Honey and Absinthe Podcast, where you can download this book for free. You'll get a free audiobook or 2 free Audible original audiobooks. Audibletrial.com/the Honey and Absinthe Podcast. But other than promoting the ad, I genuinely really like Audible because I get to download books like this, and I probably wouldn't have listened to it or considered it if I didn't have a subscription and use it.
Imagine 6 o'clock in the morning, cold, really, really cold and chilly. You can see her breath. Janet steps outside with her little puffy jacket, and then her this sweater that she always wears underneath.
Yeah.
And then some Victoria's Secret legging jogger things, and then her Nikes, and then she just puts on her earbuds and just listens to podcasts.
Yeah, and audiobooks.
Yeah, like we used to try to listen to music, and we talked about that, but like now you're just like, oh no, I'm in this podcast. I mean, I'm in this audiobook craze right now.
Yeah, I kind of want to make a video talking about all the best business self-improvement books, but
you've listened to a lot.
Yeah, I've listened to a lot, and this one in particular, I rank all of them in different levels. Like the top one, I would say, is Influence by Robert Cialdini, and I think that was like the first book I listened to on Audible, and because of that, all the other audiobooks kind of paled in comparison until this one. There's never split the difference because it feels a little bit like a continuation of Influence, except actionable steps that you can take. And so what this book is, it's basically a negotiation book. But what this book really is, like, you think, oh, it's just going to teach me how to make business deals. It's going to help me negotiate my wage at work and stuff like that. And it does teach you that, but it's actually more of a communication book. Like how to read body language. What do people psychologically need in a negotiation, in a conversation, and he uses everything from like his time in the FBI negotiating terrorists, basically, who have kidnapped Americans and stuff like that. And he also uses normal, average, everyday situations, like you're at work trying to convince a difficult boss of something, or to get a raise, or in your relationships. If you want to have a better relationship with your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whatever, this is a people thing. That, like, he uses so many examples where, like, wow, you can literally practice these things when you're grocery shopping, trying to get like a good deal or something, like on a computer, or you are dating or whatever. And I realized this is exactly what I had been looking for. I didn't even know it, because I went into it thinking it was a negotiation book. I wanted to learn how to like negotiate better.
I remember I was the one who recommended Influence to you, because I was listening to that one on audiobook too, and I was like, oh, you are so bad with people. This is like the, sort of like the foundation of like how to human a little bit. And when you were... And then you read many books similar to that one, but this is the first book where, you're explaining stuff to me, and then you're telling me things that I know, but I instinctually. Yeah. And I go like, this all checks out. This is this makes a lot of sense. All of this stuff.
Yeah. So this book, the most interesting part of the book is when he gets to the 3 negotiator types, and there are 3 types, and everyone falls into at least one of these types. And to be a good negotiator, you actually should have qualities from all 3 types because they balance each other out. But naturally, most people are usually 1, are mostly 1. So 1 is the aggressive type. They're the kind that just get straight to the point. They tend to be really confrontational. They do not like small talk. And they like commanding people. They don't ask questions. The second type is the accommodator type, and they're like the people pleaser. They love small talk. They love chatting you up. They love being accommodating. It's exactly what the name is. And then there's the third one, the analyst type, the one that loves logic and makes decisions based on data and thinks a lot before making any kind of decision. And all 3 types, there's no good or bad. they all have like a failing and things that they're good at. And when he was explaining these types, he was explaining it in the form of like personality types. And he got me so accurately that like I'm somewhere between like aggressive and analyst, because there are certain quirks about these types of people. The analyst types, during a negotiation, during a conversation, they might pause mid conversation and think. So there might be a long, silent, pregnant pause before they respond to you. That makes a lot of people uncomfortable because they want to fill the silence. That's me. I make a lot of people uncomfortable because sometimes when people ask me a question, I'm thinking, but then they'll be like, what's wrong? Or like, can you give me an answer? I'm like, I'm thinking. But the analyst type, the thing why I don't think I'm full analyst is because analyst types are patient. They know that a negotiation, a conversation will need to take as long as it needs to take. So they will patiently weigh out all the different options before they make a decision. I'm not like that at all. I'm kind of impatient when talking to people.
Yeah, you are.
I do not like small talk. I do not like a conversation or meeting or whatever interaction that has gone on far longer than it should have, because I do not want to talk to you. So I'm kind of also the aggressive type because that's what they are. They really do. They like cut to the chase. Let's get down to brass tacks. I don't need every single piece of data to make a decision. And I know I'm not the accommodator type, and you are. I was like, that describes you to a T.
To a T. I love to help people. I think I explained it a million times on this podcast. I like helping people feel accommodated, like they're welcome. They're I think I said the Bill Clinton thing.
Oh yeah.
Where it is said that Bill Clinton makes you feel like you are the only person in the world that he's talking to at the moment.
Yeah.
That type of thing. Yeah. I just felt like that was a really, really like cheat code way to get what you want in life.
Yeah.
Without actually being aggressive, really. Mm-hmm. It's like, if you've ever played one of those Bethesda games where you could be in Fallout or Skyrim and you raise your speech and you're able to like haggle deals, get your sword for cheaper at the shop. It's that kind of stuff. That stuff is kind of like real life,
Yeah.
Who has the easier time with that type of stuff? It's me, not you.
No. And like honestly, you interact with other people on almost a day-to-day basis. That means your life is just easier than mine.
Yeah.
I realized, and also he talks about like observing different types of negotiators interact with each other and how negotiations fail, conversations fail because of the differences in personality. So like, and I've encountered it with me and other people and me and you, where like I have uncomfortable interactions like all the time because I am me. And when I like, for example, stop to think and there's like silence. I remember when we first started dating, you were like, what's wrong?
Yeah, like in car rides,
Yeah.
Our first car rides together, it would just get so silent.
Yeah.
And now some car rides, you just talk and talk and talk.
And you just pretend to listen.
Hey, that's not true.
But also, sometimes when we've been brainstorming or whatever, sometimes we'll run into a problem and I'll just stop to think, and then you get frustrated at me and you'll be like, you need to help me out here. And I'm like, I am. I'm thinking. Just
but it doesn't
wait
seem
a
that.
second.
It doesn't seem that way though. It really just seems like there's just a blank face.
Like I'm not taking you seriously or something.
Yeah, or something like that. And I feel like when you were in group projects, this would be a problem too.
Yeah. And when I was in group projects, everyone always thinks I think little of them. And it's so funny because it's the opposite. It's the exact opposite, that I think highly of everyone and I shouldn't.
Oh, man.
Well, because of that, that's why I think people think I think lonely of them, because they constantly disappoint me when they fail, or when they don't follow through on the things that they say they're gonna do, and I just go like, I just believed what you told me, but you didn't do it, so now I'm disappointed. Isn't that logical? So
for me, that screams like, don't say it to their face. Gosh.
That's why people hate me. I can't help it.
Couldn't you be a little bit more gentle?
Whereas when accommodators and accommodators interact with each other, like let's say you met another version of you.
Oh, nothing would get done, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, hey, how's it going?
Hey. When 5 hours pass by, hey.
And yeah, I think I've seen that in action too. Versus the aggressive type is very rare, because I think most people are not confrontational. Most people aren't that daring. And commanding, in a way, like the alpha of any situation. And this really piqued my interest because it reminded me that other things that have helped me out like crazy before have been other similar personality type labels to help me figure out the world, like Myers-Briggs.
And the Kiyosaki 4-quadrant thing.
Yeah, was the most recent.
Right.
Myers-Briggs pertains to just overall personality types in life, and then the Kiyosaki 4 quadrants allowed me to view people at work and in work situations, and to be able to categorize them in certain personality types very easily. Now this new negotiator type has allowed me to categorize people in terms of what do they want from me? What do I want from them? What is this relationship? And how do we both get the best out of this? And that has really helped me. Learning a lot of these techniques, learning about the different negotiator types, I was like, oh, okay, this is deciphering people in a way that's logical and systematic for someone like me to understand. Because when you just explain oh, people are like this, you just, you notice it, you look at it, you see it. I'm like, I don't.
Wouldn't you, don't you know that people are like this?
And be like, no. What are you talking about? And when you learn about these types of people and these techniques, you start to see it everywhere. And
when we first learned about the Kiyosaki thing, it just opened doors.
Yeah.
Stories in the media or just, stories in our own life, we were able to be like, oh, that's because that person is a E in their life. Mm-hmm. That person is a S in their life, whatever it is.
Yeah. And you start to realize there are some people who are really good at it and some people who are not. And I mean, I think a lot of people will notice that just in life, like how I noticed that I suck at it, and there will always be people like you who will outshine me simply because of that. And that's a very easy example of it, but then once you really start looking at the techniques involved, because there are very specific things you can say or things you can do to sadly manipulate people. And in a way, the best thing about this book is to help myself know what people are doing to manipulate me. Mm-hmm. And
you didn't approach it in a way where oh, this is how I win, this is how I manipulate people to get what I want. This is more of oh, this is how I protect myself from other people's bullshit.
Because I think these techniques are difficult to actually do well. It takes practice, it takes time. It took you a lot of learning and practicing all through your life to get to the place where you could charm the cashier.
Or where I could turn it on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas for me, I'm still not as good as you at it, and I've been practicing being on camera.
You've gotten a lot better. Hasn't she gotten a lot better? Let us know in the comments how much better she gotten, because for me, I think you've improved immensely. In the beginning of all of this, you didn't even understand how to use your diaphragm.
I think I still don't.
What?
Yeah.
What? After all the vocal warm-ups, you don't think your tummy.
I just wonder if my voice is just naturally very airy and high, even when using my diaphragm.
Yeah, but you're using it though.
I think I am.
Yeah, I think you are too.
feel it.
I think you've been using it for so long, you don't remember how airy your voice was, but I do. It was it was much airier than this. It had like no tone. It had like no mids. It was just like, highs, treble, just like barely like. And then now slowly there's there's some bottom end in your voice finally.
That actually reminds me of a point in the book where he says if you want to sound more commanding and more authoritative and more convincing, you lower the ends of your sentences. So one of our teachers actually trains people or tells people not to speak with upspeak, which is the way a lot of children talk. So like da 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 da, and then da 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 da, and then da 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 da. So that's like how little girls tend to talk and how I used to talk a lot.
Is that our presentation and career prep teacher?
No.
Oh, okay, different teacher.
Different teacher.
Okay.
And I would actively work on it like throughout college, but it was still difficult because I wasn't speaking to an audience on a day-to-day basis. Now, ever since I started filming myself, I noticed that I did that a lot, and I really didn't like it. So every time I edited my videos, I would see or hear my voice and be really unhappy with it and be really mad at myself for sounding like a little girl in ways that, like, not just the tone, just why do I speak like that? Like, that doesn't sound commanding, that doesn't sound authoritative. So before reading this book, I subconsciously told myself now, repeat each line at least 3 times and repeat it in a different cadence, in a different way, and then make sure the ends of the sentences go down. So like when I say things now, like, in order to get more Instagram followers, I don't go, in order to get more Instagram followers. Like, there's such a big difference in just that. If I noticed that by doing that, I liked the way I came across on camera a lot more. And it like all of this, some people just know this. And I had to like learn it. And I had to practice it. And it was very hard. Like, even after an entire year of doing it, I'm still not where I want to be at speaking and at communicating. But this is all in the book.
I would tell you the stories of how I practice like my cadence and my vocal tone. Mm-hmm. I would read manga out loud and voice act the lines.
Yeah, you're very good at it.
And I would show you sometime.
Yeah.
And then I would whenever I had the chance, like let's say I was taking a poo-poo, I would just sit there and then like read Naruto or what was my favorite thing at the time? Karikano. And then I was like, oh yeah, I would like act, what's his face? Soichiro's voice. Yeah. And I'm like, oh yeah. Yeah, blah 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 blah. I'm so smart and handsome.
And you have a radio DJ voice.
Yes, I do. And like, no, yeah, like the NPR bullshit. Yeah, that's fine. I deliberately sound like this because I could do the entire podcast sounding like this.
Yeah.
I could do the entire podcast sounding just like every podcast you heard just before. Poo poo. Poo poo platter. Eat the poo poo.
Oh my god.
But then it's just ridiculous because then I'm spending so much energy behaving a certain way.
Yeah.
Whereas then I'd rather not expend that energy too much by just behaving normally.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more energetic, but not like the level in which we present ourselves in these podcasts and these shows. Like maybe in the vlog, obviously I'm turning it to like level 12, but for the most part, when we're doing stuff like this, we're not trying to like act a certain way or even like be that professional sounding. I mean, like I remember watching a little bit of that Draftsman podcast and then going like, wow, that's such a great podcast that I'll never want to do ever in my life. But my God, if I were
style.
Yeah, but if I were in college, I'd really appreciate that podcast.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great resource for that. But like, if you're like us, I'm sure you really enjoy.
I just can't take
like
ourselves seriously like that.
No, I can't. I couldn't be. I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah. I can't swear. And
Come
I can't
on.
be a dork, and I
Yeah.
can't talk about anime and all the weird stuff we're into.
Yeah, I do love the contrast of the light and
And yes,
yeah.
we have these.
Pontormo, the Pontormo eye. We can do that if we really wanted to, but I don't want to do
No,
that.
it's just not where we're at in life, I guess.
No, yeah, we're just bitter and we want to be free.
Yeah. So, these techniques and things, they take practice, they take work, and you can work on it all the time, from like the way you speak, and apparently speaking slowly is a thing as well.
I have a problem with that.
You do?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I
also have a problem with interrupting people.
Yeah. But I don't think that's a bad thing.
Did you know I have a problem interrupting people? Sorry, this is stupid. I'm so stupid. I was so cringe. I'm gonna leave that in. Sorry, what were you saying?
I actually think I talk too slow sometimes, but that's just me. So these are all.
My problem is you don't get to the point soon enough.
Yeah, I feel like I have to explain all
and
the
then
little details.
I literally tell you I don't need the preamble.
Yeah, and then usually I have to get through my pride getting hurt, and then like really thinking about where I can edit, and then I go straight to the point.
And then I go, okay, we're in the same page. Great. I don't mean to be rude, but like, my gosh.
The point of an INTJ,
Yeah.
over-explaining things. It's important. It's relevant to the story.
But then you need the point. I think I can fill in the gaps, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it takes time for you to develop these skills and to be really good at it. And when someone is. Like, if you know these skills and you've been working at it, you can see from a mile away when someone's using it, because it's easy to pick up, not so easy to execute. So I have noticed these qualities in people in Hollywood, in business dealings, in politics, and it's really interesting who applies these things well, who doesn't, and how when you learn how to notice all these things, you start remembering other instances in your own life where someone has manipulated you using exactly this technique.
Or you've been in a position where you're manipulating somebody else, but then you're seeing that action being bestowed upon you, going like, whoa, you can't do that to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I do that to other people, but you can't do that to me. That's not fair.
So one of the things that I really got used to in Hollywood was the phrase, "You don't want to let this opportunity go by, do you?"
Yeah.
And I hate that phrase. I hate that phrase so much because it's so manipulative. And it's one of the first techniques you learn in this book, why this phrase works. Because it's trying to get you to fear and to fear risking something.
Cialdini says that fear is the number one persuasion tool.
Yeah.
So when anyone ever uses a fear tactic, oh, the world's gonna end. Oh, the world's gonna end. Mm-hmm. Keep an eye out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And it's I don't like it because it frames the whole conversation in fear before you even start talking. Like the other person starts the conversation and is already dictating to you how you should feel. And being in Hollywood, because you listen to people speak like this all the time, I got desensitized to it eventually. You can start smelling this bullshit from a mile away.
Some people look at you and know that they're not going to pull it. that's not going to work on them.
Yeah.
You like, really green people who, got graduated CalArts, so I want to work in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Easy money.
Easy, yeah.
Easy. Yeah.
All
easy.
you have to do is say that, and then
Yeah.
it's like big doe-eyed, like, oh.
We're going to feature you in our website. Ha 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 ha. It's going to be great.
And like, you had an experience like this before you even started working, right?
But like a little bit after I graduated graduated high school. The first term, actually, I flirted with the idea of becoming an actor. So I did. I sent out my photos and all this. Like, I took like photo shoots and all this bullshit when I was young, and then somewhere right when Art Center started, this I guess talent recruiter called me and was like, "Oh, hey, we need you for this new Mission Impossible movie." And in retrospect, it looked like I think it was the Ghost Protocol movie, the one that Brad Bird directed. But like, this lady recruiter was talking about, oh, it's such a great opportunity. You're gonna bump elbows with so many talented people. You're gonna be a part of a real Hollywood production, and you will be on the big screen. Maybe really, 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 really small. Yeah. But you get to say, I was in that movie, and then it was kind of like, oh wow. And then they really upsell you. They really get your hopes up. They're like, oh, this is gonna be like magical. And then this recruiter was like, oh, you have to, and like so shadily said, you basically have to pay to be in as an extra. Yeah. And then I even said something like, wait, I have to pay to be the extra, and like, it's not paid. And then this person made up all sorts of stuff, ending with like they were reading off of a prompter, opportunities like these don't come often. This is a really unique opportunity. This could be the start of something amazing, the start of your amazing acting career. It starts with little steps, all this bullshit. And then I being living and breathing Los Angeles polluted air, I know pretty well when I'm being sold bullshit, because I am a pretty good bullshit artist myself. So when I'm listening to this, I go like, sorry, I'm not interested. I said something. Yeah, I'm not. Or I'll think about it. I said I'll think about it. That's what I said. I'll think about it. And then, they just reiterated that point again, like they were reading off of a prompter. And then like,
you don't want to lose out on this opportunity.
Yeah, you don't want to lose opportunity. Blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, I'm sure. I'm gonna pay to be an extra. What the fuck?
They usually pay you to be an extra.
That's ridiculous. What is that? Yeah, man. It's just, it's Hollywood, and it's just like people come here from all across the world to be sold bullshit by like the most talented people. I'm just like a B-level bullshit artist.
Yeah,
there are just A+ motherfuckers just crawling in Hollywood.
Those are the scary ones.
Yeah, man.
When I know you're very good. When there's someone better than you at it,
it's terrifying.
They scare me. I don't want to talk
I'm
to
terrified of them myself. I'm just like, oh god, here we go, one of those.
I don't even want to say hi, because once you start talking, you're gonna like get something out of me.
Yep.
And I won't even know. I won't even know by the end of the conversation.
It would have already been done.
I would have already agreed to something that I didn't want to. But that's what it is. That's why I love this book so much, because it's helping me watch out for these types of people.
That's good.
And also, like, if I wanted to get something out of a situation, I would at least have some sort of skills, negotiation skills, let's say a business deal, whatever. One that happened to me recently is there is this very specific technique that this guy teaches about how to always get replies to a cold email. Ooh. Always, 100%, almost 100%. And it's the same, like, start with getting someone to get to know. like get a response. And to get a response, usually it requires some sort of like making the other person feel like they're risking a loss of something, whether it's like a loss of a relationship with you, or whether it's like being seen as like a bad person, whatever. So what this person did recently, once you hit about like nearing 10K, you start getting a lot of emails from people wanting to do some kind of collaboration with you.
Because you're considered to be a micro-influencer at this
Yeah. But there's a difference between before 10K and after 10K. And before 10K, you get a lot of these emails, but a lot of them are a little bit shady. So most of the time I can spot them a mile away, and I just ignore them, whatever. But this person emailed me and was, basic cold email, we would love to work with you, blah blah blah, email us back if you want to work with us. And I just ignored it. And then like a day later they emailed me back, and usually there's always a follow-up email, and I just ignore that as well. But this time this person said something like I feel insulted or something like that like you would let this opportunity pass by or something like that. And when you get an email like that, its intention is to make you feel like you have to respond.
Like I did a bad.
Oh no, I didn't mean to insult you. I'm just not interested. Because all they truly want is a response. All they really want is you to say no so that they can keep talking and get you to say yes. And that's one of the techniques that the guy tells you. Like if you don't want people to ignore your emails, in your follow-up email, say something like, are you ready to let this opportunity go by? Just like in that script that lady was reading off of to you, trying to recruit you, it was the exact same thing. And the thing is, even though we're from Hollywood, we are accustomed to dealing with this stuff, it still kind of works on us.
Yeah.
It's like a weird monkey brain thing. And it takes a lot of effort on our part to temper that and to calm yourself and to think rationally and do all the things. So when I got that email, I was so tempted to respond back, even though logically I knew every fiber of my being that this is just some guy trying to take advantage of me. He's not gonna pay me. He's not gonna do any kind of brand deal with me. And so it, I didn't respond to him. But it took a lot. It took a lot of self-control. So you go through this book and you go through life and you realize that a lot of these things are not based in rational thinking. Like every time I have a people problem and I'm frustrated and I go to you and I go why are they doing this? Why are they saying these things? What do they want? This makes no sense. And then you go it doesn't make sense.
People just don't make sense.
People just don't make sense. Why do you want to make it make sense?
This is a more of an adult realization where I was I think it came from this childlike assumption that for some strange reason, when you're an adult, all of your qualities as a child somehow disappeared. All of your awful habits, all of your awful personality traits just somehow just disappear because voila, you're suddenly an adult. And slowly becoming that thing myself, I realized that no. And then just studying how annoying and irrational being a kid and observing other kids were. Just why the fuck do we behave this way? And it's just we participate in the game of elementary school, then high school, then college, then real life, getting a job and all that bullshit. And we participate in all that stuff thinking that in this process one day we will somehow become a learned adult. Mm-hmm. But I just think we simply become better at hiding these traits, but we still play these stupid games, but in different places, like in the workplace or in the art sphere or in wherever. There's no such thing as leaving the schoolyard, man. This is life.
Life is the schoolyard.
Life is the schoolyard. You never
Sadly.
leave.
Yeah.
And that's something I learned early on. So when you would complain, when you complain about people, it was like, you know, whatever at first. I was like, oh, this is why. But then, you know, being with you for so long, you complain about people so much that I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. People are just people. They do dumb shit all the time. Like we do dumb shit all the time.
I'll point out this ridiculous thing someone has done in life to me or in the news or whatever. I'll be like, look at that. They're doing a thing. And you're like, yes, they're doing a human thing. And I'm like, why are they doing that? And then you're like, because they're human and they do that. And I'm like, but doesn't make any sense. And you're like, I can't help that. Yes. And then you get frustrated. And
I don't know what to say, because like it's usually you almost every weekend observing or talking about the folly of man.
Why?
Like why? And I'm like, because we suck. like isn't it obvious?
So me being a super rational, logical human being that is like, if this, then that, I don't do anything without a logical explanation to doing that. I don't understand people. And it was very hard for me to listen to anyone other than this Chris Voss guy talk about empathy. I know we all hate that word because of what
it's been used and abused.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But
shoved down people's throats.
The way he explains using empathy is just so straightforward and logical to me. So he used this study, I guess. He said, I forgot exactly what study he quoted. Read the book or listen to the book if you want to know. But he said that there were these scientists that studied these people who had brain damage in this area of the brain that controls emotion. So they could not feel emotion. And what, the study was about, I think, something completely different. But what they noticed was an interesting side effect of that was they couldn't make decisions. And I thought that was really interesting. And his point was, human beings are irrational beings. Everyone thinks 2001 is like some great art movie and needs to be so respected and so revered and it's so the light show, whatever. I avoided it for the longest time because of that pretension, and then I watched it and I just laughed through the whole movie. And I was like, this is the biggest fucking joke that Kubrick is playing on everyone. He's just mocking everyone. He's mocking humanity. Yeah. He's laughing at you. And I thought that was so funny. And after the movie ended, I was like, did I just interpret the movie completely wrong?
When we talked about it, I was like, yeah, this is like, he's making fun of us.
Yeah.
he was like really throwing shit at us. But then for some reason, people think this is like, a revolutionary movie. And then probably being Kubrick, hearing all of this hubbub about you've made something that is the height of our species, is just like, prove my point. Bunch of idiots. Like, these people are, all of you are just a bunch of idiots, just like how I said in the movie.
Just laughing even harder at you.
Like, oh, you fell for it, idiots.
And then, so like for a while, I was like, do I have just a really dark sense of humor and I completely interpreted it wrong? And then I listened to an interview with Kubrick on YouTube. This, I'm sure you'd be able to find it if you just type in
There's not too many.
Kubrick interview. And it's like 90 minutes long or something like that. And in the middle of it, the interviewer doesn't understand him at all. He was like really like idolizing him, respecting him, thinking like he's a genius. Actually the same way people treat Elon Musk, which is funny to me, because I'm an INTJ and I'm like, no. So they're like, oh man, what did you think about like the intellectual blah 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 of 2001? And then he was like, I thought the what was the other one, the war movie?
Doctor Strangelove.
He was like, I thought Doctor Strangelove was more intellectual than that movie.
Really was, actually.
And it was,
it really was.
And I was like, I knew it was a joke. I knew it was the biggest joke. I think he says it. He's like, it wasn't meant to be
what you think it is.
What you think it is. Yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, he's just like me. He's a troll.
And on that note, would you want to talk about like just how you react to Joe Rogan and Elon Musk's the one that was famous because he was like smoking pot or whatever.
Yeah.
There's one that came out recently when we have yet to see, but we need to.
Yeah. So
it's been hard because of the Spotify thing, man.
Yeah.
It's just hard.
Not comfortable to watch. Yeah. But you were watching it, I think. I wasn't watching it.
I was watching some of it.
Yeah. And then you were like, what the fuck? Elon Musk is so weird. And then what is he thinking? And then I
asked you like, oh, since you say, oh, I'm an INTJ and he's an INTJ, then why didn't you interpret what he's saying? So I'd be like, okay, what does that mean? Because to me, that reads like he's being a fucking robot right now. Yeah. So robot, what is the robot saying?
And I was like, so he's just thinking this. But like Joe Rogan thinks there's more to it. Like Joe Rogan will ask him a question. How do you do this? And then Elon Musk will be like, I just do it. And then Joe Rogan will be like, what do you mean by that? And he's like, I don't mean anything by that. Like, and then, but the thing is, Elon Musk is like an older INTJ, so he's used to this. So he'll just play along. He'll just play the alien. So I thought it was funny.
So Joe Rogan's putting him in this like crazy pedestal.
Yeah.
Whereas in just like you would just be like, very just flippant about it, just like I'll answer your questions, there's no need for you to behave like this.
Yeah.
But then because someone like Elon Musk has lived a lot of life, he's like, oh, might as well just play along.
Yeah. Just like live
this is fun.
The fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I think this also happened with Ben Shapiro. We were watching, I think, election night coverage of it. And then Ben said something, and then you're like, why does Ben think that? And I was like, because of this, this, and this. And then
right immediately.
This is live.
This is live.
Yeah.
This was live election day. Immediately when Janet said those three things, Ben said those three things. It was the freakiest fucking thing. It was so freaky. And me, who can't read any of you
INTJs.
Weird people.
Only INTJs can read.
Yeah,
INTJs.
I was like, wait, what? That was insane. Like, I can attest to this is real. This is something that really, really happened.
In this book, Chris Voss talks about empathy in a very logical way of like, we are irrational beings, and no matter how highly you think of yourself, we all make decisions based on emotion. So that's why he talks about like when you set a conversation up, when you set a negotiation up, based on fear of losing something, triggering someone's risk aversion, because most humans are afraid of risk. They would rather be comfortable than risk even a little bit. And the more uncomfortable you make them at something, the more you like increase their
compliance.
Increase their compliance and decrease their ability to think rationally.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah. That's why that fear tactic of like, you don't want to lose this opportunity, do you? That immediately, 1, increases fear, and 2, tells your brain that you're about to risk something.
Whoa.
And that immediately triggers something that isn't logical. It's all emotion. It's all like getting you to feel a certain way to like make you comply. And that's how he talks about empathy. It's like, if you understand that all your decisions, all anyone's decisions is based on emotion, based on what they want, based on a very emotional need, you as a person, as a negotiator, as someone trying to get what you want, you need to come at everything with a, in quotes, empathetic place. But the thing is, he says himself he's an aggressive type. He is not necessarily the most empathetic person, and it's not about that. He has an entire chapter about saying, it's not about saying I understand how you feel. It's not being able to feel what the other person feels, because for the life of me, I couldn't possibly do that. So everyone else who has ever tried to help me with this, when they say, oh, you just empathize with them, you just feel what they feel or whatever, I'm like, I don't know what that means. I can't possibly do that. And he's like, it's not doing that, it's labeling what they feel. It's like, if they seem mad, you just say you seem mad. If they seem upset, angry, whatever. You label whatever negative thing, and then it forces them to be like, no, I'm not, or whatever. But then it also forces someone to acknowledge it if they are. And they're like, yes, I am, and this is why. Because what you're trying to do is get more information out of them. You know they're mad, but you don't know why.
I just realized something. Remember in Persona 5 that you have to negotiate with the personas before you basically capture the personas? And then there's like aggressive type, and then there's like, I guess, different labels.
Yeah.
But I guess like that's sort of like the rock, paper, scissors game that you're playing when you're trying to negotiate with the personas.
And you're trying to get to, like, what do you want?
Right.
Like, what is it that you want from me? You're angry or whatever because of this, because of that, and you're digging for information. So that's what he means by, like, you need to be a really empathetic person. And there are certain skills that have nothing to do with empathy, because it has nothing to do with, I understand how you feel, because you can't possibly. How many times when someone says, I understand how you feel,
like,
makes
no, you
more
don't.
angry.
Yeah. How dare you? You don't know how I feel.
But again, if you wanted to manipulate someone, it's about making them feel some intense emotion so they can't think rationally. But you being also on the other end of manipulation, in most situations, you're both kind of manipulating each other. You have to do everything in your power to try to stay rational and try to get rid of any emotion in it. Like, if someone's trying to confront you, trying to, like, make you mad, trying to instigate something, they're doing that to get something out of you. All of this just to say, I believe that the left is better at negotiating and convincing people than the right in politics. And it's because the left is all about empathy, and the right is all about logic and data and and I think that's where they fail. And I think a lot of people on the right have a lot of pride and ego about this. Ben Shapiro, for example, a lot of people don't like him because he is all about berating you and throwing data at your face. And even, like, facts don't care about your feelings. And the thing is, it doesn't convince anyone, though. It doesn't convince anyone other than people who already are on your side.
Right.
Because it doesn't matter. It's not a rational argument. And
I want to say, with the Gina Sunday special, when the Disney shadow mind brainwashing person met up with Gina and was like, you need to apologize to these people, and then Gina said the rational thing, oh, I'll meet with them face to face, eye to eye, we'll, like, really come to understand each other. And then this person said, oh, they don't respond to logic. Like, they refer to you to, like, they just talk about you flippantly like that. They don't respond to logic, they don't respond to reason, they respond with emotion and empathy, and you have to play by their rules. It's just the wildest shit. It's the wildest shit that you know.
It's true.
It's art. You know, this is happening. So blatantly.
When I think it was in Gina went to talk to someone, I forgot who, but they were, like, not on good terms. One of the trans activist people, representatives, whatever. And she was like, at the end of it, you know, you're coming at this with a rational argument, but to an emotional, you know, response or whatever, it doesn't work. And it seemed like to me, Gina was like, but it's a rational argument. The thing is, like, because we are human beings, even the most rational of us are not truly rational. And, like, as much as you want to hate that, like, you need to meet us at emotion, at empathy. That's truly how you win, according to this book. Because even if Ben is right, and he is right a lot of the times, factually, yes, him berating you with facts Does that convince you? Does that change anything?
It does make for good entertainment, but it doesn't, solve anything.
It doesn't solve anything. It doesn't change minds. It doesn't bridge the gap. It doesn't do anything. And, the same could be said for a lot of other people on the other side doing the same thing. Just shouting facts at the other side and going, I'm right. And that's the thing. The book makes a distinction between the phrase, you're right, and that's right. Because take this example of Ben shouting facts at you. What are you going to say when he tells you all these facts? You're right. But there's a difference between you're right and you're right. One is more like, you're right, but I don't care. You're right, but you haven't changed my mind. You're right, but this is actually a yes, but it's actually a no. It's a counterfeit yes of like, I'm agreeing with you just so you'll get off my back, just so you'll go away, just so like, sure, you'll feel like you won in an argument, but no one really won. And so at the end of the day, that's politics for you. Like, everyone has their ego wrapped up, and that's what it is. When you want someone to say you're right, what is that? It's your own ego wanting to be right. It has nothing to do with making a deal. It has nothing to do with actually talking to someone. And that's why, like, I think the left controls culture for a reason. I think Hollywood storytellers and artists in general, even though I think Hollywood is emotional and empathetic to a fault and knows how to manipulate it, like, a little bit too much.
Not even a little bit right now.
Just like blatantly.
Yeah.
And it works every time.
Yeah.
And the right just doesn't do that. The right just refuses to do that. Maybe they don't know how, but it's like, it looks silly, maybe it is, but it works on a very human level.
It's almost like the right can't. It's all about rigidity. I'm tough, I don't complain, I'm like, all about facts, like emotions just get in the way. But it's it's like harmony, and I really for some stupid reason I thought that Disney had something planned for Star Wars. And I always, like, especially even in the second movie, I was like, oh, this is totally going to Grey Force. This is totally about harmony and, like, like forces coming together in unison. And what is Grey Force? What would that, like, Jedi be? That Jedi, half Sith, just like perfect harmony. I control all of the things Avatar of the Star Wars world would be. But instead, they just made it like a fuck the rebels, fuck the Empire bullshit at the end. And it's just like, nothing is innovated, it's just like the wheel keeps turning. Basically at the end, where Rey rides off into the sunset with BMO or whatever, the volleyball thing. And that's just how I feel about this thing that we're on. It's like, the left will always manipulate people with emotions, and then the right will always manipulate people with facts and values.
Yeah.
And it just goes on forever and ever and ever.
Both sides does it with, like, poorly. Use rational thinking to try to win some kind of argument or negotiation or communicate. But, for example, science. Follow the science. And you're not going to convince an emotional person, someone who's making everyone makes decisions based on emotion. So in that scenario, someone on the right is not, you need to meet them at an emotional place, in a place of understanding. So that's where Chris Voss says, you don't want you're right, you want that's right. You want someone to go, yes, that's right. Because what you want to do is say something that the other side agrees with. Something like, so you're saying you believe this, and this, or you feel this, and this about this. And then they have to respond with, yeah, that's right. And it's not, the thing is, all of this has a tone to it, has a respectful, understanding, empathetic tone to it. You're not saying this like, so what you're saying is, no, not like that. Like, So I'm trying to understand what you think is this, and this. And then you're trying to empathize with the other person so that they feel understood and heard. And they feel they can say, yeah, that's right. That's exactly how I feel. That's exactly what I think. Then you can get them to maybe see things your way a little bit. Then what everyone wants is just selfish. Everyone wants to be heard. Everyone wants their ego to be stroked. Everyone wants to be understood, and for their voice to be heard before your voice is heard. So if you can just be the listener and to be empathetic and understanding, that works a lot more than someone berating you, throwing facts in your face, and going, oh, so you think this, and this, and that, which is, yes, you're using the technique, but you're using it completely wrong. You're not doing the place you're coming from is not right.
Kind of like that Jordan Peterson Channel 4, what's her name? Kathy Newman thing.
Yeah.
Where so what you're saying is blah, 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 blah. That thing. I mean, come on. Everybody must have seen that by now.
Well,
right?
If they haven't, Jordan Peterson is a self-help human, and I don't even know. He's a self-help author, but he also teaches, I forget what is it that he teach? Something psychology, whatever.
He's a professor.
But he's also
he teaches things.
Jordan Peterson is a professor. He teaches things, and he got really famous because of
this is such a Mickey Mouse bullshit.
I know.
Kind of look up Jordan Peterson. Come on, we don't have to do this. This is ridiculous.
Well, sometimes they'll look at Jordan Peterson
and then
get
find some bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Jordan Peterson is a self-help author. Wrote 12 Rules for Life. Is also a professor. He honestly
Canadian.
Yes, and if you've ever read his book,
it's dry.
It's a self-help book for men to be better humans.
Yeah.
That's all that is. And people freaked out about it because of First Amendment rights, gender, whatever. And he went on this interview with Kathy Newman, and it was he calls it a little bit of a setup interview, because prior to filming they were fine.
Friendly.
The camera turns on.
Not fine.
She becomes vicious.
Yeah. Claws come out.
Confrontational and framing things in ways that are set up for him to fail. So she kept going, so you're saying you are trying to promote all these awful stuff.
Whereas then that's completely not what he said at all.
And even if you respond yes or no to this framing of the question, it's still insinuating that you did something bad.
What is it? Scott says thinking past the sale or some shit. Yeah.
And it's, if you watch this interview, it is a literal example of taking the techniques in this book and using it completely wrong. Because when you say, so you're saying blah, 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 blah in this book, you should not be antagonizing the other person. The point of that kind of statement is to try to understand the other person, trying to get them on your side, trying to get them to say, yes, that's right. Because what you want is, I explained, you're right. You're right is a counterfeit yes. How many times have you been in a situation where someone says, yeah, I'll do it, and then they don't? Or like in your example when you told the lady on the phone, I'll think about it. That's a counterfeit yes. There's no commitment to that. That's basically a no. That's basically go away. I don't want to talk to you anymore. That's you're right also. When someone says you're right, but when someone say yes, that's right, that's the first step to going so you understand where I'm coming from, and that you want someone to get to yes, like a true yes, not a you're right yes. And so when Kathy Newman's doing, so you're saying blah 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 blah, some hateful.
Oh fuck! I think Biscuit fucked up Mom Cat.
Oh,
that's okay. Continue.
Insinuating some kind of assuming certain things, certain really bad things about Jordan Peterson that is not true, and if he even responds to the question, it won't look good for him. That's not anything but a disingenuous way to win an argument. It was for the interviewer's ego to win. She didn't want to interview him. She didn't want to get his opinion, his thoughts, what he was actually trying to say with the book, all the drama that was happening in the news about him. She wasn't trying to do that at all. She was trying to get an internet clip. They were trying to clip this interview so that he will look worse than he actually is. That's why they do this. It is not to make it is not to have a genuine conversation. It is not to bridge the gap in any way. It's not to actually have anything of value come out of this interaction. And that's politics, that's journalism, and that's why we don't get anything done.
Yeah, in this brand new, amazing, brave, new, build back better world, how would you rate this new effort to, bridge this big gap that has been, dividing the Americans? How well have they been doing?
It's awful. So really, really, really bad. I get really frustrated at both sides because I'm like, the left really annoys me because they're so high and mighty morally, which used to be the other way around with the religious people.
Yeah, God's not gonna like that. Instead, it's
climate change and BLM and do better. Like the command "do better," I think is like the most laughable sentence ever. Like, what does that even mean at this point?
Yeah.
This feels like an ad lib. You know how some rappers go, this is like what liberals tack at the end of the sentences, like, do better, just do better, just other people do better, I don't have to do better.
I don't have to. I don't know how, really, but do better.
like who are you do better. You're not my mom, you're not my parents, go away. And then so that annoys me about them, but the right has their own version of it, and they think they're so smart and better than everyone, and to me, in a way, that's worse. Because there's nothing worse than someone who's dumb who thinks they're smart.
Oh, man. Nothing on the planet, man.
That drives me insane.
Jesus
At least
Christ.
I admit that I'm an idiot. Like,
At least these people will never, ever admit they're ever wrong or incorrect about anything.
No. So this breeds this culture of like everyone thinks they're so smart, so moral, so better than everyone else that no one's listening to each other. No one is actually talking to each other with a genuine. Everyone's just trying to dunk on each other. Everyone's trying to be like, I'm more right, I'm more moral, I'm more smart than everyone else. And like, it's hilarious to me because the left definitely is more empathetic, and I think that's why they own the culture.
Yeah.
The right, they are really great at dunking on people because they're very smart and logical, and when you can't really argue with the facts, someone looks ridiculous when you argue with the facts, therefore it just breeds comedy. Yeah.
It's easy comedy, exactly.
But the problem,
that's why comedy is so bad right now.
Yeah. You can't dunk on anyone.
Yeah. You have to be considerate and all this shit.
So you have to like snap and
yes.
You go, yes. The leftist way of doing things is able to convince more people than the right, because dunking on people and being just mean, it's I don't know, it's just not effective in getting people. Like, you're just gonna get a bunch of trolls and like, I would say more males are conservative, tend to be, and like there's a like boys love dunking on each other. Boys love that stuff. Yeah. Girls are the ones that are typically like empathetic and caring and all that stuff, but like in general, as you grow up, when you're like a young person, of course you're gonna gravitate to the one that seems nicer. Even if it's like ends up being meaner.
Yeah, I always say it's pretty easy to tell How to Choose the Better of Both Evils. It's the evil. Don't pick the evil trying to pretend to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least pick the evil that's just openly
evil.
Yeah.
Because the evil trying to pretend they're your buddy.
Yeah.
That's somebody to watch out for.
Yeah. So I guess how
you
I've been
gotta trust nobody. You gotta trust nobody, babe. Look over your shoulder constantly. Like that Cypress Hill song. Rock Superstar, something like that.
That reminds me, when I was in high school, I had this really formative English teacher who, asked us a lot of important questions that most teachers don't make you think about. Like, just like, do you believe in black and white or shades of gray? And philosophical questions like that you normally don't ask a little high school person to consider. And one of the things that he asked us to write about was, do you trust people, or is it hard for you to trust people? Do you keep people away or whatever? And his opinion was like, you are missing out on a lot in life if you don't allow yourself to trust people. And I've always been someone who doesn't trust people very easily. So I remember at the time writing that, like, I don't trust people. I don't let people in my life very easily. I only have a certain amount of friends. And he actually changed my mind about that. He was the one that was like, you're right in a lot of aspects, where I feel like in order for me to make more friends, in order for me to step into this next phase of my life in college and allow myself to make relationships and to accept this new experience, I need to be a little bit more trusting. I am a little bit abrasive and a little bit whatever. So I went through college being very trusting, just to become not trusting again very quickly as college ended, into working as an adult, because you very soon realize, okay, that was a bunch of bullshit. That was fine to try to trust people.
You mean the shit in high school? That's
yeah,
I see.
All that stuff he was saying, that's fine, idealistic, nice, very often, yeah, whatever. That's not life. I prefer to operate not trusting people very easily. And you have to earn my trust. And even then, I still probably won't trust you, because I don't know, I worked in Hollywood. I've been screwed over way too many times that I just don't like that anymore. I just, tired of people's bullshit. So I'd rather just start being a little bit distant and not trusting. That's just me, though. Maybe it works out for other people who are more trusting.
Yeah. I don't know. I never trusted people.
Yeah,
so
you
pretty
never
easy.
had that
easy.
problem.
Just never trust people. Gotcha, Chief. Easy.
If someone had told you that when you were younger, would you change your mind?
I didn't tell. Oh, what? Oh, that? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't believe them. In fact, I'd be like, you're so right. That's what I would do. Well,
so how I've been using all the techniques in the book, it's actually become very, very useful fairly recently. I didn't know how I'd be using the technique so soon, because once we hit 10K, everyone started coming out of the woodwork. I got so many emails from all sorts of companies wanting to do brand deals, sponsorships, all that kind of stuff. So I'm really glad I started listening to this book right around the same time, because it's really helped me in that way, responding to emails and all that stuff. And I think the both of us are inherently a little bit better at instinctively knowing some of these things, because we worked in Hollywood, because of life and how we've been able to deal with life up till now. But now I have things to look out for. I'm still not as good as this author seems to be at it. I mean, he's basically negotiated deals with terrorists.
Yeah.
So obviously he's good under stress. But now when I get an email asking for rates and like negotiating some kind of collaboration, or even in like day-to-day life, it's so much easier now for me to figure out how to phrase things to not hurt someone's feelings, to get the best result for myself out of this situation, like whether it's to get paid more, whether it's but at the same time not hurting the other person's feelings, like feeling like this is a good relationship that we're developing, and even in everyday situations. So one of the biggest advice that he gives to the aggressive types is to smile. Just smile when you speak, because
you do not do this, by the way. You have to actively tell yourself, right?
I have to, even when I'm filming videos and I'm looking at myself, I forget. So there are some videos where I fail completely at trying to smile, but like recently I've been trying to actively tell myself, every time I catch myself not doing it, I go like, smile, even if it feels unnatural, and it will make other people more comfortable, and isn't that what you want?
Yeah, I mean, you just have an easier life, you know?
Do you think I've been getting better at it?
I think so, and I don't know, your interactions in real life are hit or miss, but they used to be mostly misses. So, hey, we're getting somewhere. Janet-chan, what are we recommending for our recommendation?
So, I am recommending Timbaland's Twitch stream.
What? He has a Twitch stream?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I really like Timbaland ever since I watched his masterclass, where he teaches music producers how to produce a beat, or
beat making, whatever.
Yeah, beat making. Yeah. And he's such a positive human being and such a creative person. I think any creative artist, no matter what kind of art that you do, can empathize and understand the knowledge that he's trying to impart. And what he does in this Twitch stream, he literally reviews other people's beats that they send him.
Yeah.
And he has memes that he plays to indicate, this sucks, this doesn't suck so bad. Oh, this is pretty good. And it's really funny, and it's really smart, because he is Timbaland. And if you are an aspiring Kanye, you're gonna have your heart ripped out if he was like, this sucks, so he doesn't say that,
because like it's kind of crazy, because even putting myself in the shoes of these submitters, like, you know, the moment your track plays and Timbaland's not moving, it's like, oh shit, you fucked up.
Everyone's laughing at you in the chat.
Yeah. The chat goes, toss them overboard.
Yeah, so when he doesn't like something, he plays this meme of people flying out of a plane.
I think it's Iron Man 2, I think. Yeah.
And it's basically like, throw him out of the boat.
Yeah.
Throw him out of the ship.
But then he always goes, keep working at it.
Yeah.
In fact, if you get like maybe an average beat, he's like, oh, it was so-so. You get like a sit on the bench. Like, you know, I think guitar players call it wood shedding or whatever. It's when you sit down, you just work on your craft.
Yeah.
Sharpen your tools, he says.
Yeah. And he goes like, you'll make it. You'll just, you know.
Not today.
Yeah, not today.
But you'll make it.
But you'll make it. Yeah, it's like a beat he made for that phrase, like catchphrase. And I just really enjoyed watching that, and I felt really inspired by, I don't know, his kindness and his
humility and his wealth of information.
Yeah, he doesn't have to be doing that.
Yeah.
He's like, it's not super highly produced Twitch stream. It's just him and an assistant listening to your music.
Yeah.
And then going like,
yay or nay. You know?
Oh, yeah.
And the entire chat reacting. So it's a pretty fun thing. And he always encourages creativity. So that's the best part.
He's never gonna be outright like
you quit. You're never gonna make it. You're never gonna make it. No, he's always like, you know, keep trying.
Yeah,
keep trying. And he's always like, resubmit.
Yeah. And I really like that.
Yeah.
So everyone should watch it if you're into beat making, into Timbaland. Even he's just a joy to watch. He's just kind of fun to watch.
Yeah.
Even if you don't know anything about that.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
So make sure to like, subscribe, hit all our bells and buttons. Head over to honeyandabsinthe.com to help support this channel by buying some merch. I am wearing the Honey and Absinthe sweater today. And check out these other episodes here to binge listen to all our podcasts. And we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.